Well, hello everyone, my name is Wiggo and welcome back to the second installment of the 12th pack collab, which is basically can you beat Pokemon on steroids. But what is this video all about? Well, if you have watched our first 12 pack video where we beat Pokemon Fire Red with 12 YouTubers, including myself, you will already know what this video is going to be like. But if you haven't watched it yet, I'm going to explain it to you right now. I do suggest that you watch that video first because in that video everyone introduces themselves very briefly, and in this one we're just gonna jump the gun. So each player is going to get a segment where they have to play through with rules that other players give them. So last time we went into a certain order where Chaotic went first and R9 went last, so this time we're going to switch that order around, so R9 will be first and Chaotic will be last. Whenever someone finishes their segment, they will have to come up with a set of rules and Pokemon that the next player in line can use. These rules can be anything except for soft locks, because that's what happened last time and we don't want that to happen again. The standard Pokemon challenge rules will also be implemented into this one, so no items in battle and HM Pokemon will be allowed. Also, don't forget to check out all of their channels. The links will be in the description. Every single one of them makes amazing content, so you will not be disappointed if you go ahead and click their subscribe button as well. While you're at it, why don't you smash that like button as well, because we all put our heart and our souls into this video, and if we can hit, let's say 10,000 likes, we will all be very happy. Let's start off with the Jontron of Pokemon R9 beats.
So it's about that time we get into that 12 Pokepart relay race, so we have sorted here. And since I went last on the previous 12 pack challenge, I'll be going first, but I'm sure that's already been explained.
Yo, hurry up so we can watch Swiggo's part!
Wow. Okay, so we embark as a 12 pack yet again, but this time into the Johto region in Heartgold, the undisputed best Pokemon game ever. And what's that? You don't agree? It's too bad. It doesn't really matter. You're not in this video, are you? This time will be a little different. I had Tarantula randomize my starter options, and then I had Chaotic Meatball pick from my 3 options that we were given, which were Charmander, Nidoran, and Togepi. Time to find out what Chaotic Meatball wants me to use. I know what you might be thinking, R9, why are you letting Chaotic Meatball choose your starter? And it's because Chaotic goes last, so I thought it would be nice to make him feel like he's involved. Kind of like when you give your little brother the controller that's not really plugged in, just to make him feel like he's doing something. So I assume he wants the worst for me since he didn't respond to my message, and maybe I shouldn't have started this at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's not the bestest idea. So we choose Togepi because I just assume he wants the worst for me at this point. Also, how bad can it really be? I only have one gym to do after all. So after spamming through Professor Elm's speech, we're good to go on our adventure and see how hard Togepi only would be. You kidding me? No attacking moves? This is awesome. Luckily, we're given a bunch of potions at the lab, so we can use the struggle tech using all of our moves just to get to level 6 and learn Metronome. And spoiler, this is the only attacking move that we're gonna learn, so buckle up. A Metronome only, Togepi only, one gym only. But I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for the kids. So we head off to Mr. Pokemon's house, who's accompanied by Professor Oak. And well, not a whole lot really goes on here on this. I'm gonna tell you the truth. He just tells us that he's got a Pokemon egg. Yeah, well, obviously, me too. Look at him. Had a basic. What's the big deal? Professor Oak gives us a Pokedex, and we head back to the lab to tell Elm stuff. I guess, this story's not really that riveting, really. It is still better than Twilight, though, at least. On our way back, we bump into a redhead punk who is eager to battle us, and he opens up with a Cyndaquil. But we have the level advantage and Metronome on our side, so please don't use self-destruct. Please, for this one time. He outspeeds us on the first turn and goes for tackle, and it does meh damage. It's alright. But we get lucky and we get Psybeam, our first Metronome, which surprisingly doesn't do all that much, really. So, even when we get lucky, it's kind of in vain, I guess. Speaking of luck, he does get a crit on his second tackle, though, which is that's nice. But we follow it up with Rock Blast and end this man's whole career. After beating him, he takes off in a hurry and drops his ID. So I guess we know his name now, I guess. At the lab, we find out that this redhead punk stole the Pokemon he used in our battle from the lab. Wait a second. You didn't have a Cyndaquil for me to use. Were you holding out on me? The officer then asked for the boy's name. We saw his ID, so I guess this is the time to tell, I can't read. I can't read. I don't know his name. Well, but because I can't read, and I just gotta assume that they believe me. He's got the red hair. He's got the whole criminal thing going on. So I'm gonna have to go with his name was YouTube. His name was YouTube. Yep. definitely YouTube, but they end up saying some things and we just mash A through it and then we're free to play the game as we please now. No more training wheels. The gloves are off. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, I guess we gotta go say bye to our mom first. That's fine. I do end up telling her not to save any of our money so the rest of the 12 pack can't go to mommy and use her money. Okay, so the training wheel's finally off now. I can do what I want. I just want to get around to messing with a Rantula. Can we do this? So we head towards the first gym battle. First things first, we gotta battle all the trainers on the way, including the famous youngster Joey and his famous top percentage Rattata, and some other trainers too, I guess. I didn't really catch their names, but I did end up catching a Pokemon that I felt was pretty appropriate for a Rantula's part, so that's nice, but you're gonna have to wait on that. Just a little bit longer. So after defeating all the trainers, I made sure to collect all their phone numbers too, just to make things a little bit more annoying for the others. So now that we're in Violet City, it's time to go directly to the Bellsprout Tower to clear all the trainers so that Tarantula can't grind on their Pokemon. And yeah, I also knew it's because you have to in this game. This is Heartgold, not Gold. And so as we're clearing out the tower, we do experience some extremely strange events. Oh, it's almost like this may be haunted. Or we could have possibly just messed too much with the save file. That's also a thing. But whether this game's haunted or not, we still finished the Bellsprout Tower and head towards the first gym leader. Now inside Violet City's gym, the Flying Gym, we're able to take down the first 2 trainers with literally no problems. The gym leader himself, Faulkner, the bird boy, yeah, he's a problem. He's not to be messed with. The amount of time it took to reset and try this battle over and over and over again actually took just as long as everything leading up to this battle. And why was it so bad? Well, sometimes we would get really bad metronome RNG, or we would just get sand attacked enough times that when we did get good moves, they missed. But finally we caught a break and landed present out of all the moves possible on his Pidgey. Nothing like an RNG move getting another RNG move and it actually working. So after one present takes out his small bird, out comes the bigger bird who takes no time to hit us with Gust, and we go for Metronome and get Pain Split. But just next turn, after taking another Gust to our egg faces, we get Rock Blast yet again, and Rock Blast finishes this man's whole career. So now that we have the first gym badge, my part's all done, and now it's time to mess with a Rantula to repay a Rantula for just exactly what he left me off with last time. Which honestly wasn't that bad, so I'm going to be pretty easy on them. I've been R9, and I hope you had yourselves a damn good time.
Greetings to you. It's time for more 6x2 pack collab number 2 Electric Boogaloo, and I'm number 2. And that was terrible. So from the sounds of it sounds like R9 Beats finished his part, and now it's my turn. And he gave me 2 Depth Poison type Pokemon and a Stolly Chansey. Looks really volatile, but we can do this. So let's get on with the show. So to start, I just want to say that I find the fact that he gave me a level 99 Grimer to be really funny. And unfortunately for him, I am very perceptive and I wanted to check what nature I had first. And I noticed my ability was damp. And yeah, I guess he wanted to surprise me with that, but sorry mate. But being level 99 this early in the game, Struggle is going to be very useful. So we can use this to grind both our Spinarak and our Chansey. At least that's what I thought. But after I finished playing through his challenge and then editing everything, R9 Beats tells me then, I'm not allowed to use the Grimer that he left me. It was just there to call me trash. Wow, okay, well, fine. I guess I can't use this Grimer after all, meaning we have to be stuck with this level 2 Spinarak to grind. I guess it only makes sense though. But don't worry, I forgive you, R9. I mean, it's not like you gave me a challenge that was ever impossible in the past. Who could ever be so daft to think to do that and not make sure at least that their challenge isn't worse than the person that they were forced to have to deal with before? Imagine being stuck with a poopy head like that. No, then of course I understand a lot of you are like, who the is Tarantula and why is he just taking so freaking long? So I'll be brief here. I used the Chansey because it knew self-destruct and didn't have its ability to be damp, allowing my Spinarak to grow. By the way, speaking of my Spinarak, what is it with everyone trying to misgender me? I'm not a freaking female, guys. Jeez Louise, next thing you know, people are gonna think I'm white. While I'm grinding, I hatched the egg that Professor Elm left with me. And it was the perfect opportunity to right this wrong. Yep. Once I learned Nightshade at level 15, I no longer need Chansey to Kamikaze to level up. By the way, R9 Beats left me a Focus Sash, but I never really knew what to do with it. Anyway, Bugsy's battle. Nothing really special, but Decipher was pretty tough. And you know something? I find it really funny how I was given a Spinarak here, because in a Bug-type gym, this is kind of poetic, isn't it? I really am flattered, R9. Hey, you in the comments, if you had to have any Pokemon as your mascot, who would it be? I would love to have Galvantula be my mascot. Anyway, after beating Decipher with Nightshade while also maneuvering past the Super Potion that Bugsy has tucked away, things look bad because of my HP being so low, but I have Leech Life allowing me to heal on the Kakuna. And after a few turns of this, as well as Nightshade in order to get around how long this fight otherwise would take. What the And that's it! We beat Bugsy with all the rules that R9 Beats gave us. And yeah, the rules of course say that I can't let any of my Pokemon evolve, but you know what, we've already gotten this far, I think she deserves it. All in all, it was pretty fun, albeit a bit tame. I guess I shouldn't be expecting too much though after I gave R9 Beats a pretty easy pass since he was the last one last time. Oh well, that's my W to hold. You know what won't be tame though? The challenge I have in store for the Breph. Now I normally am a very, very nice person. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet on the internet. But will you misgender me by calling me a... Let's just say you've opened Pandora's box and I'm ready to unleash some righteous indignation on you. So, what delightfully devilish situation did I have Breph get stuck in today? Well, I for starters did not bother with fighting our rival, but let's go a step further. How about I give him a single Drifloon with a Flame Orb? I think you can all see exactly where I'm going with this. Now, I did not list this in the rules specifically, but if he's enough of a man to not use struggle, then mad props to him. Well, that's it for me. Now before I go, I want to say to you all, if you're enjoying this video up to this point, please remember to like the video. And above all else, understand that Zoogle tries very hard to entertain you. Subscribe to him if you haven't already. He is very much worth your time to do so. Ta-ta for now!
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's the Breph and welcome to my part of this 12-man collab. Now I'd be lying to you all if I said the pressure wasn't incredibly high to be entertaining, given the fact that I'm sandwiched between two incredibly entertaining individuals. Unfortunately, however, it looks like we're in the middle of a spiral of revenge as Aaron seeks to take it out on me by giving me absolutely nothing to work with. Or so he thought. But we load up the game and I instantly go to the PC to see if he's given me any semblance of hope, which of course he hasn't. I can already see the Drifloon following me, so I knew that this wasn't going to be fun. And then it got 10 times worse, because of course this Drifloon has to be holding a Flame Orb, and it also has to have the moves Astonish, Trick, Stockpile and Swallow. Clearly the key to this one is supposed to be around using Trick to give and take that Flame Orb. But if it was that simple, it would be fine. It's not, however, because Aaron's given me the following rules. A pleb like me should be able to follow these 4 rules, right? I mean, they're pretty straightforward. I have to learn a new move when Drifloon wants to learn one by level up, and I'm not allowed to use any other way of learning a move. As for HM Slaves, he said I can catch whatever I want, but I'm not allowed to bring anything I catch into battle with me. And other than that, it's the same old everything. No items in battle, and Drifloon is the only Pokemon I'm allowed to use. Fairly standard. I like it, Aaron. I like the puzzle that you've given me. However, straight off the bat, I noticed some loopholes. Call it the lawyer within me, but I went straight for them. You see, you gave me permission to catch whatever I like, and what I feel like catching is a Bellsprout. You see, my friend, you almost gave me a challenge that was completely and utterly impossible for a pleb like me to get his mind around. But you left me a loophole, and I run back to check that you hadn't tripped me up. And guess what? You hadn't. So you know that rule about not bringing anything I catch into battle? Well, I've gotten around that because I've traded my Bellsprout for Rocky the Onyx, which means I can legally go into the fight against Whitney with 2 Pokemon in my team. Why is this important? Well, in case you didn't know, and if you don't, have you been living under a rock? If you knock out a trainer's final Pokemon on the same turn as knocking out your own, but still have something alive in your party, you are given the win. However, if you go into a battle and you do that exact same thing with nothing alive, you lose. And given that your tactic, at least as far as I can tell now, #Breff's a pleb, but I think this is what you're going for, it involves me burning myself like a depressed high schooler with hair straighteners and then running the clock down. Well, okay then. With that in mind, I decide to go and do some leveling up, because at level 37, 38, I believe, we learn Shadow Ball, which is a fantastic replacement for Astonish, given that we still have to fight our rival YouTube. Thanks to the added levels, thanks to the power of Shadow Ball over Astonish, and thanks to testing the waters with that burn trick strategy, we're able to beat him and make our way into Goldenrod City. Here we go into the station and fill out a small lifestyle questionnaire. Questions include, do you drink alcohol? How many units of alcohol do you drink? Does your liver still function? And finally, why are you drinking your liver into non-existence? Your mother still loves you, she doesn't want to bury you. Having completed all of those, the person behind the desk can confirm #Breff's a pleb and gives us a little card, which impresses the young girl next to us so much that she reveals herself to be the gym leader and tells us we can go and challenge her. Now, I tried this fight many times and it was even more tough than I first anticipated, so absolute credit to Arantula for breaking my mind. So I did a little Google search and saw that Driftloon can learn one more move by level up, and it's a good one. So I came back with some more levels, and oh yes, we've now got Explosion in our moveset. So kicking off the fight against Clefairy, it's all straightforward. We trick the Flame Orb, and then we stockpile and swallow our way until it KOs. Unfortunately, my strategy completely unravelled as my last trick missed and we got encored into using it, so the Flame Orb was gone when we got to that dreadful Miltank. So when Miltank first comes out, we are encored into using Trick for a fair while, which means we just trade a Lumberry back and forth while getting our face stomped into the dirt. At this point I realised I only had one thing I could do, and that was to pray that our level difference would overcome the defensive bulk of a Miltank. So when we can, we press Explosion, and just like that, we go out with a blaze of glory, and thanks to having the traded non-caught Rocky in the party, we beat Whitney. And yes, it counts, and no, I'm not having any more people call me a cheater because that last challenge was completely impossible and it's all Bonsley's fault. Whatever, I'm not salty at all. But Bonsley gave me in the last one an RNG challenge from hell, so you know damn well I'm giving it straight back. Of course he's going to find some way to complain about this, but I've given him an easy one, at least on paper. Bonsley has been treated to a Rotom. A Rotom with the moves Curse, Thunderwave, Confuse Ray and Rest. The item, of course, an airmail. An airmail that reads, "Hello brother, do you like Rotom? I feel sorry for you. Because Bonsley Juice, aka Grey, aka the... I don't even want to say the word that gave that thing to me last time. You better have a strong stomach for this one, and an awful lot of patience." The funny thing is, there's a way to make this challenge an awful lot easier. The question is Grey feeling resourceful enough to take it? Anyway, there's only one way to find out, and that is for me to hand you over to Bonsley Juice himself.
Thanks for passing the torch, Breph. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda nervous to see what he sent me. I sorta hung him out to dry last time. Oh, frick. Yeah, he's upset. Oh, no. So, basically, he wants me to use a level 50 Rotom with Curse, Confuse Ray, Thunderwave, and Rest. He says it's definitely possible and he would give me some berries for Rotom to hold, and, since I have berry pots now, I can grow them and use it for the gym fight. And I agree with the notion of it being plausible. I can just struggle to level 100 and OHKO everything. Wait, this isn't right. This is Breff's righteous vengeance against my transgressions last time. I'll take this punishment full on and give CPC something far more fair. Besides, struggling is boring as heck. This is going to be my redemption arc. Okay. So we start with an easy one, the Pseudo-Wudo fight. This took one attempt, a single curse, then some stalling, and we won. The toughest part of this whole shebang was getting past trainers with more than 1 or 2 Pokemon each, Morty included, except for our rival. Our rival was a pushover. I eviscerated YouTube's demonetizing touch and proceeded to Morty's gym. The annoying parts were the gym trainers, obviously. I can't use items in battle, something I did last time because of miscommunication within the 12-pack. I take full responsibility, and I can't utilize Curse or Struggle here. There's just too many Pokemon. It's a matter of sheer luck to get past any of them with multiple Mons on their side. Then there's Morty. This fight took me forever to beat! 60-something attempts, if I remember correctly. The issue is that his Ghost-type moves hit so dang hard, and you need to be very careful which Mons you curse and when. Confusion is a major factor, as is full paralysis. I could get into the full odds of this, but honestly, even thinking about it is giving me a headache all over again. Instead, I'll just go through the final successful run. Totally didn't lose all the other footage. I started off the fight with a Thunder Wave on his Ghastly, and his Ghastly retorted with a Spite. None of his Pokemon could use Curse on me. If any did, I would have to restart the run because I genuinely could not afford for them to, so this was a good sign for me. Then I used Confuse Ray for a bit of a punctually precise Parafusion. This would allow me to have more of a chance to keep the Ghastly at bay with statuses, not being able to touch Rotom. Luckily, the Ghastly hit itself in Confusion. Next, I laid down a Curse, helping to whittle down the Spooper's life force, and it, of course, snapped out of Confusion immediately. It hit me with another Spite, but when the target is Curse, Spite becomes horrifying. Curse is my only way to deal significant damage, and with all of its PP gone, I would be in serious trouble. I used Thunder Wave again in case the Ghastly was to go for Spite, but luckily it stayed fully paralyzed. One more Confused Ray and Self Bonk, and we got Morty's first Mon down. Second up was his Haunter. I used a Thunder Wave on it, and it used Hypnosis, luckily missing. I smacked it with a Confused Ray, and it hit itself, another good sign. I used Rest, regaining my HP so I could hit it with another Curse, and the Haunter hit itself in Confusion the first turn. It stayed paralyzed for the second turn, and the third turn it used Dream Eater, barely scratching us. I used Curse in response, setting up to eliminate this annoying anomaly, and the Haunter broke out of Confusion but stayed fully paralyzed. I used another Confuse Ray on it, and it hit itself in Confusion, going down to the red. I knew Morty would heal it, so I went for a Rest myself, knowing the Curse would eat away at the Haunter little by little. It used Dream Eater, then got fully paralyzed again, and I went for the Confusion ending read, and the Haunter used Dream Eater again, both of us essentially fizzling. I used Confuse Ray one last time, and the Haunter went down by hitting itself in Confusion. Next was the tough part, his Gengar. It knew Shadow Ball, so I had to be extremely careful and lucky in order to beat it. I started with a Thunder Wave, and it was fully paralyzed turn 1. I used Curse next, risking an absence of Parafusion, and the Gengar luckily wasted its turn using Mean Look. I hit it with a Confused Ray, and it hurt itself in Confusion, forcing it to eat its Citrus Berry. I used Rest, and it managed to deal massive damage, sneaking a Shadow Ball through its status conditions. Then I got extremely lucky. It hit itself in Confusion and died of Curse damage. I took a shaky breath. 3 down, 1 to go. His final Mon was Haunter. Boy, was I anxious during this fight. This one had gone so well thus far. Haunter used Sucker Punch immediately, and seeing as I had no attacking moves, I got a free turn, letting me safely wake up. I used Thunder Wave on it next, and it hit me with a Nightshade, dropping me into yellow health. The Haunter remained fully paralyzed, and I got in a Confuse Ray, then used a Rest. Luckily, the Haunter hurt itself in Confusion twice in a row. The third time, it attempted to use Sucker Punch, but still to no avail. I woke up and hit it with a Curse, and it luckily remained paralyzed. Now it was just a waiting game. I used a Rest, and the Haunter was fully paralyzed. Morty used a Hyper Potion on Haunter while Rotom slept, and yet again, the Haunter was fully paralyzed on the following turn. I landed a Confuse Ray on Haunter, and it bonked me with a Nightshade, doing a little bit of damage. This was it. I could taste victory! And righteous vengeance for Breph. Haunter broke out of Confusion and used Sucker Punch to no effect. Rotom used Thunder Wave. And Haunter died to Curse damage. The ear-splitting, glass-shattering victory screech that followed could be heard across the Midwest. And yeah, I beat Breph's challenge, and now I have paid my debt and proven myself. For CBC's challenge, though, I have something more fun than difficult. Hopefully this will get people thinking a bit more about unique challenges. Take it away, CPC!
Hello everybody, this is Christian Pokemon Champion here participating in the second Mega Collab. As you saw, Bunsley Juice is responsible for my current torture. When he finally got his part done, he sent me the save file. Oh, thanks for giving me nothing but babies. Anyway, let's check out their movesets. Okay, I see what you're trying to do here. So this is gonna be a sketch challenge, huh? Thereafter, he DM'd me the rules of the challenge. What the bleep? Why are there so many rules? So that I won't be taking forever explaining the rules, I'll just quickly state the ones that affect my particular challenge the most. I basically can only use Sketch. The moves I learned through Sketch cannot have the same typing as the Pokemon I'm using. For instance, I can't have the other kid learn an electric move. Status moves are not allowed to be learned. No items are allowed in battle, including held items this time, and I can't go above level 35. Dang dude, I had a tougher time understanding these rules than my psychology and statistics class. Either way, now let's begin! First things first, I scouted out what was around the area. Technically, I could go as far as my hometown if I wanted to, but I prefer to use the best moves I possibly can at this point of the game. Since Chuck Norris is my main goal here, I have to keep his Pokemon in mind when I'm choosing my moves. He just has Groot Senior and Poliwrath. Primeape isn't really an issue, I'm more scared of that Poliwrath. I also kept in mind my Pokemon's special attack and physical attack stats. If they had stronger physical attack than special, I considered it when choosing. Oh, Entei, wanna give me a good move here? No? Okay. Some moves I did consider, but not limited to, were the following. Poison Sting, Karate Chop, Hyper Fang, and Confusion. But since this video will likely be over an hour, dang man, I'll just go over what I did choose. After a singing montage! Because Wigo gave me a recommendation in my singing montage suggestion channel in the 12-pack fan Discord server, I'll be singing Take On Me by Aha. Talking away, I don't know what I'm to say, I'll say it anyway. Today's another day to find. Take on me. Take on me. Take me on. Take on me. I'll be gone in a day or two. Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day. Okay, we're done. So here's what I got. I decided to give Bonsly Quick Attack. They're a slow Pokemon with decent physical attack. I figured I could use them to quickly finish off Poliwrath later on if it's applicable. Magby has a respectful physical attack, so I gave them Rollout. I figured if I can keep them alive for a few rounds, they could be a very good sweeper. Smoochum has Thundershock to better my chances against Chuck. Mantuck is a beast, and giving them Mega Drain was a great choice. Elikid is another OP baby Pokemon. Is that an oxymoron? I gave them Peck, again to handle Poliwrath. You can tell I'm very paranoid about that guy. And lastly, I gave Water Gun to Badoo for coverage sake. Now we can finally begin our journey toward the gym. I beat up Team Rocket and saved your lives. You are eternally grateful. Now give me that surf!
I will devour your hopes and dreams.
Now after taking out the Suicune Soccer, and many of Chuck's cronies, I found out that maybe I didn't do enough reconnaissance. For instance, Electrode had Thunder, which would have done wonders on that Poliwrath, and Hitmonchan had Ice Punch. But nonetheless, I believe what I have now will do. Man, I wish I had the guts to grow mutton chops. You are an inspiration, Chuck Norris. Grit Senior prepared Focus Punch, which was prevented by using Peck. Seriously, why is this move given to AIs? He did it again. Dude, this time around I was faster and pecked them again. Maybe we're at a speed tie? They used Kagebushin no Jutsu. Unfortunately, because Peck didn't take them out, they were put into healing range. Peck! Next one we both missed. Ha! Loser. Leer. I pecked and they tried Focus Punch again. Dude, do you even lift? Because Chuck isn't a champion, he didn't have enough money to use another Hyper Potion, leading to Groot Sr.'s loss. Up next was my biggest concern. So far I've taken no damage, so we're doing pretty good. Oh dang. Luckily because of B's ability, Poliwrath. Dude, I have to give you a nickname. Fred. Fred'll work. Fred became paralyzed. They tightened their focus. Oh, I guess I didn't have a speed tie with Groot Sr. because I think Focus Punch has a priority. Next turn I pecked, and Chuck learned his lesson, maybe. That Focus Punch ain't gonna cut it. My next strongest Pokemon is Ant, so I brought them out to use Mega Drain, which ignited his Citrus Berry. They then used... Water moves don't work on me. No, not yet. Don't be such a drama queen, Chuck. I drained him Megally, and they hypnotized me. While I was asleep, dude, I need my beauty sleep. They slammed me bodily. Next turn, I drained him once more. We were so close. While he did take out Ant, I decided to finish him off with... Well, I guess he had another Hyper Potion. Dang, this is a drawn-out battle. Okay, we're gonna be doing this for a while. Turbo! That joke was very fitting for Quick Attack. Later on, Poliwrath used Surf, and Bonsly surprisingly tanked it. That's because Bonsly is the bee's knees. Next turn, they didn't learn their lesson. I attacked. For the final move, they... Dude, come on! Yeah, I defeated them with Bonsly. Very suiting since Bonsly was the one who gave me this challenge. Chuck Norris gave me a useless TM, and now that my part is done, I gotta set something up for HPT. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into the details, but let's just say they're allowed to use this move learner over here, if they wanted to. But I never told them that. HPT, good luck.
Thanks, Christian. Hello, I am HBT, and I am the oldest out of the 12 pack. I think I'm also the only one with a spawn running around on this green earth. Now, I'm not looking forward to this, considering I screwed him over last time, so let's see what I have. Let's see, an Arceus. Okay, good start, but it can't be that easy. Right, let's have a look at the nature. Brave, okay, not terrible. At least I have some attack. My move choice, well, you can see, you can't really see it on the screen, but it's Splash, Foresight, String Shot, and Roost. Wow, this is fantastic. The god of all Pokemon is armed with a terrible moveset, which means I'm going to have to rely on Struggle. So best off to go into the bush to start splashing. Okay, a Jirachi, not fighting that, running away. Another fight, oh, another Jirachi, great. And again, and again. Right, so not only has Christian fixed who I'm going to be facing, he has also increased the encounter rate to max, so near enough every step I take, I'm going to be fighting this bell metal thing. Fantastic, Christian, fantastic. So I better give some context because this has been a very quick start. The rules that he set me were that I could only use the god of all Pokemon, no items in battle allowed, no held items can be used, and no new moves can be taught in any way. So I'm stuck with these moves, which is a joke really. Like, what can I really do? All these moves have high PP, so now I can see why Roost is in there. Leveling up will be extremely difficult because Jirachi is a Steel type, which I suppose won't bother Struggle as it's a typeless, but it also knows Confusion. This is a problem because Confusion will be, as the name implies, confuse me and make it a lot harder. So this is what is ahead of me. I need to get Struggle, and the only way that I'm going to do this is using all my moves on a very low Jirachi and then start using Struggle. The problem with that is I receive recall damage when I use the move, and if I go to Pokemon Center to heal, my PP will be restored and the cycle of pain continues again. Now for my section, I just need to beat Jasmine and a Steelix, the Pokemon with all the highest defense stats in the game. Just excellent! I made sure that I went through the box as I know you need to check everything in this game. So I checked the box. You will die. I was watching Chowder when making your part. Oh, there's some HM slaves. You're watching Chowder. I don't get that. Don't you eat that? I don't know. With my PP now gone, I'm able to start climbing the lighthouse to fight the trainers blocking my way to go see Jasmine by using Struggle. I do have potions to use, so when I need to, I can heal, but there's where I hit a wall. This bird trainer. Why? Because he has 5 Pidgeys and the recoil damage takes up so much off me that I'm not able to take them all out without knocking myself out. I tried to see if I could dodge the trainer, but after multiple attempts, I realised this is not going to work either. It then hit me. Like, going up the lighthouse to this point meant I had to learn some extra money, so it meant more potions, so I was able to do some grinding and got the god to level 38. I decided to go hunting for rare candies because I know where they are hiding, and this will help dramatically. I pick up 2 and also a nugget, which meant a little bit more money. I go see my friend Raikou, and I can't do anything, so I just let it go on its merry way. Ooh, look, there's also a Suicune, and it goes off in its merry way as well. I used the rare candies to get my levels up to level 41. I should add that level 40 I did have the chance to learn extreme speed, but as the rules dictate, it's not allowed, so I have to make a pass on it, which is really annoying. At level 41 I tried the bird catcher, but even with the increased levels, the struggle method is impossible, so I decided to use the great and amazing technique of making his Pidgeys kill themselves by running out of moves. This is because his Pidgeys were doing nothing and I had Roost, so I just had to make sure it run out until it used Struggle itself, and I could not believe this actually worked. Like, when does this ever work? I don't care, it got me the win I needed with 3 HP remaining, and that is absolutely amazing. I pick up another rare candy outside and now fly through the rest of the trainers to go meet Jasmine and get ordered to go get the medication for her slave. The adventure to the medication was very boring and not very fun. Why can't I fight Chuck instead? That'd be way more fun than fighting Steelix. I do a little bit more grinding with the extra money I had won and the new rare candy I had found. I was up to level 44. I finally got to face the monster that is Jasmine, and I try with Struggle strategy, which is neutral damage, but it only does about 4/5 of the Black and White's health, which is not good at all. I do hit it again to get rid of it, but there's no chance of beating the second one, and there's still a Steelix to face. I went back at level 45 thinking one level would make a difference. What was I thinking? Not only does it not do enough damage, but now the Magnemite will use Thunder Wave, which means there's a game over. And it will always use Thunder Wave on the first turn, which means I have to knock it out in one or I don't have a chance. Although I then decided to try wasting all my moves to see if I can make it struggle instead. This is probably one of the stupidest theories I've ever had. I went back to lick all my wounds and had a chat with Entei, but he didn't want to hear my tale of woes and buck it off. I did more rare candy hunting and got my god to level 46, however I still had the same problem. So I didn't really fancy using the whole PP use 3 struggle strategy, heal the Pokemon Center and repeat, so I started using the potions trick again, but I need money. So I started going through the whole map finding as many items as I could, even hidden ones, so I'm able to sell them and make as much money as possible. However, these potions are not going to last forever, and after this I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I then had a brainwave and thought I could smash rocks as they contain items which I can then sell, but I can't remember where to get rock smash from and head into the ruins where I accidentally triggered the Arceus event. And for those who've not seen this before, if you have Arceus in your party, you get a little event and a cutscene, which is really cool. This is where you see random bits of the earth for some reason. Like, why do we need to see parts of the world with a god looking over? Although I have no idea why. It's so random, and it even goes into space and then an egg appears. Like, why? With all this done, I now get to get a pick a Pokemon from the choice of Palika, Dialga and Giratina. So I decided to pick Palika because I love it and I call her HBT's baby. With the birth of my child complete, I get Rock Smash and started smashing rocks. And I quickly learned that this was a stupid idea. Like, really stupid. This is because of the chances of actually getting an item are just so low. I grind up to level 52 and say goodbye to all my potions, and I have 2 more rare candies and they take me to level 54, and this is all I can do. I have no idea if this is enough. Granted, I'm in extra levels than last time, but Steelix is just such a beast, so I'm praying to myself for a miracle. However, a new problem has now arisen, and that is that God won't listen to me anymore because he's gone past the badge cap, which is comical that a God would even listen to me in the first place. Now, as you saw, I can get rid of the Magnemite now in one hit, and it was onto the Steelix. So I go for Struggle and hope it does nothing. Oh my god, what the hell? There was absolutely no way I was going to do this at my current level. I tried this multiple times and I just could not do it. So there were no more rare candies and items were out to fund the Struggle strategy, so there was only one thing I could do. Use my PP, get Struggle, fight about 3 Jirachis until low health, and then repeat. And now I'm not going to show how long this took because we would be here all day, but I worked day and night, sacrificed my family life, and after much pain and blood, I got the god of all to level 100. I am now here to take what is rightly mine, and straight away it doesn't listen. I try the first time and yeah, because the god won't listen to me, I end up getting such little health, I ended up knocking myself out with Struggle. I try again and get to Steelix again, and due to the same problems, I lose by smacking myself in the face. Just give me 4 struggles, oh come on, that is all I'm asking for. Eventually I do manage to use 4 struggles without killing my... Oh, hang on. Oh, I won because I added other Pokemon in the party. Suck it, Christian, I never used them in battle, so this sticks. And if you want to come argue with me, I'm 6'3" and I weigh 100 kilos. Bring it on, sunshine. So now I have to think about what to give Pink and decide, you know what, let's use Palika and give it rubbish moves. It is level 1 after all. So I went through the TM list and gave it Sandstorm, Thunder Wave and Toxic. I thought if she can only use these moves, it'll be okay. I was too tired to think of anything else at this point. I then got everything ready for it and then saved. Well, this is one hell of a challenge, so I'm glad it's all done. Good luck, Pink, and thank you again to the 12 pack for letting me join this ride. Until next time, I'm HBT. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Honest Pokemon Trainer. Now it's my turn. After my mean little Celebi trick in the previous collab, I don't expect HPT to be all that merciful to me. Now, let's just take a peek at what we got and the damage that's been done to this save file. Oh, level 1 Palkia named HPT's baby. I don't know what else I expected. Well, I mean, this should be simple. Oh, it has only status and weather moves. Wonderful. But look at all these TMs in the bag, and all this money! Somebody's been hacking! Surely I can teach Palkia some great moves. Oh god, Oh no.
You may only use the moves in his moveset.
Well, Well, looks like I've got to babysit this little guy and train him up. First things first, let's snap a picture for this momentous occasion. Look how cute he is. Now, getting into the challenge itself. The first thing on the agenda is getting back to an earlier route that it would be safe to grind on and move up from there. I decided to opt out of using Arceus to get back to Cherry Grove because it would cheapen the challenge a little bit. Cherry Grove's a long walk from Olivine, but it's no big deal. Most of the trainers have already been defeated because of my predecessors, and there's not much mandatory grass to go through. It took a while, but eventually I got there. I found Hoot Hoot to be the best Pokemon to grind up on Route 30. My only option at this level was to grind using Toxic Stalling. I could have used the struggle method to speed things up, but at this low of a level, it would be more annoying to use than anything, so I just simply used Toxic and knocked out as many Pokemon as I could. As HPT's baby got up in levels, I was able to stack the Toxic and weather effects safely. I gradually moved on to routes with higher level Pokemon. It wasn't difficult to train up HPT's baby so much as it was tedious. It was miserable just sitting there with speed up on, pressing Toxic and Hail again and again. If I had been using struggle, it was still going to take an eternity. All of this, and I hadn't even begun the story elements that were required for me to complete this section of the game. I knew that I was in for the long haul. You know what? No. HPT just put this child on me to raise, and I'm not gonna stand for it. This Palkia is my son, and because of that, I'm renaming him. I am christening him with a name from the gods. Bongwater. With Bongwater trained up a decent amount, I decided that it was time to go for using Struggle. I prepared for this by selling the copious amounts of TMs I had on hand, and I bought some super potions. This would enable me to heal Bongwater back up between fights, so I wouldn't have to go back to the center and reset his power points when his health got low. Also, apparently, due to hacking, somebody broke the bag somehow. I don't know how, but certain items like Hyper Potions don't show up, despite being present. Like, it says I have over 200 Hyper Potions in the mart, but when I open my bag, I see none. Can somebody please explain this to me? Which one of y'all did this? Anyway, enough lollygagging. The first component of my section is defeating the Red Gyarados. I thought this would be a simple feat, but for some reason this was far more difficult than expected. I tried it at level 23, and oh boy, that did not work. I initially tried it with the Toxic method, but to no avail. Bongwater would get taken out before Gyarados. Also, I tried Struggle as well, however Gyarados' ability, Intimidate, makes it much harder to do damage to the thing with physical attacks. On top of that, Struggle was made more detrimental to the user in this gen, and I would often take more damage back than I could deal in a turn. Struggle gave me an interesting issue a bit later on, but we'll talk about that when we get there. By level 32, I knew it was possible to beat the Gyarados. There were times when the Gyarados KO'd Bongwater, but went down to poison the next turn. However, I only won because of my HM slave, and that felt cheap. So I kept trying again and again, and eventually I got lucky with the Gyarados using stat-lowering moves as opposed to attacking Bongwater, and I won. But man, that sucked, and it's not a good look for the rest of my section. Oh, you thought that was bad? Oh no, honey, we're just getting started with the BS. The next place we need to go is the Rocket Hideout. Now, if you'll recall, the Rocket Hideout has multiple Persian statues that alert 2 grunts to come fight you consecutively. You only have to do this once, as you can hit the switch after the first set of grunts. Under normal circumstances, they're quite easy to defeat, but this is not the case for this special set of rules. See, like most Evil Team grunts, Rocket grunts use Poison-type Pokemon. This is problematic because Bongwater's primary stalling method is with Toxic. The weather moves don't do much to the opposing Pokemon, and they whittle down my health at the same time while Bongwater is also taking damage from the opposing Pokemon. Now, this seems like a quick fix. Pink, why don't you just use Struggle? That's an excellent question. The problem is that every time you use Struggle in Gen 4 and beyond, it does 1/4 of your health. Even assuming that Bongwater could OHKO every Pokemon, these grunts combined have 5 Pokemon. At max, Bongwater could knock out 4 Pokemon, running a high risk of losing the fight. 5? That's impossible. No matter the way you look at it, HPT set up the perfect trap for me, and unfortunately his challenge, as it stands, is actually unbeatable. I consulted him on it, and he granted me divine intervention, quite literally. He told me that I was permitted to use Arceus. Because there's only 5 Pokemon between these trainers and Struggle can leave a sliver of health after the 4th hit, this actually sets me up for an out. Having Arceus in the back of my party actually enabled Bongwater to take out all the Rocket Grunt's Pokemon, despite fainting afterward. Thank God. If any of you have a solution for this, please let us know in the comments, because I was absolutely baffled by this section. Anyway, with that, we can finally move on from this portion of my run. Arceus is put back in the PC, and the rest of the Rocket Hideout opens up for us. I disable those alarms so I don't have to face another consecutive battle section. The rest of the hideout is pretty straightforward, although the fact that Lance heals you before moving on to the lower section is annoying because I had to deplete Bongwater's power points once again. Petrol is a simple fight, seeing as to how he only has 3 Pokemon. Though the battle is fairly RNG dependent, it's basically a matter of what moves his Pokemon use. His Coughing needs more than one struggle to be taken down at my level and has that window to attack. Basically, it needs to not do damage in order for me to take out the Raticate afterward. The Raticate also needs to not use Sucker Punch and screw me over, though it only took me a few tries to do, which is surprising. Next is the Ariana double battle with Lance. I had my reservations about this fight, and it would have indeed been difficult with there being 5 Pokemon on the opposing team with the possibility of both Pokemon attacking Bogwater and reducing the amount of turns he had of struggle. Even then, with struggle, you cannot target the opposing Pokemon, so it's RNG which one it hits. All these things, and Lance is of very little help. I worried that I may need to grind to ensure Oko's all around and then just pray for the best. But I decided to give the fight a few tries at my current level, and shockingly, it only took 3 attempts. In fact, this fight dooms itself under this very specific rule set when this could have been an irritating battle, and that is because of a single loophole. Ariana's leading Pokemon, Arbok. Arbok has the move Glare, which paralyzes the Pokemon it uses it on. If she paralyzes Bongwater on the first turn and it gets fully paralyzed a couple of times, it'll give Lance's Dragonite enough time to take out the opposing Pokemon. I'm gonna be real, I got extremely lucky with this fight. I didn't even realize the strategy before I had won. I was just getting a feel for what I needed to do, and I ended up winning the battle in the 3rd attempt. This was sheer RNG grace, and honestly, this battle could have taken dozens of tries. This is the only time when bad paralysis luck is a good thing, but I suppose I deserve it after what I had to go through with that previous section. With that, it's time to move on to price. I expected this fight to be pretty simple, and being completely honest, it should be. That is, if you are at the right level. Price has an array of fairly bulky Pokemon, which becomes a problem when Struggle puts a cap on how many attacks I can dish out. To put it in perspective, he has 3 Pokemon and I can use a maximum of 4 Struggles without knocking myself out, which in and of itself varies on my max HP. And of course, this doesn't even account for damage done by the opposing Pokemon if it lives, so we're kind of in a tough situation. The only option is to brute force this fight. And God, I've tried it at so many different levels. At first, even getting past Seal was a problem, and I would be on red health by the time I got to Piloswine, effectively finishing me off. Then, once I was able to Oko Seal, the Piloswine became a roadblock, as it wouldn't go down in one hit. It would take 2 hits to take it out, and by then, I'd be at dangerously low health. Dugong is the final Pokemon, and even if I took it out with a struggle, I'd go down too. But Pink, why don't you just use Stall Strats? Stall Strats are basically useless in this fight. Both Seal and Dugong have Rest, which can heal off Toxic and any chip damage from weather effects, which, might I add, are hurting Bongwater at the same time, stacking on top of the opposing Pokemon's damage. The only way we're gonna win is by struggling, and oh boy, struggle I did. For the longest time, it was a pattern. Grind up a couple of levels, try Price, fail several times, then grind again. I found myself wondering at one point if I was going to have to hit level 100 with a darn Palkia to win this fight. The fight was getting closer and closer with each attempt, and what I really needed more so than anything was luck. Then, at level 80, the successful battle came. Bongwater easily took out the Seal, and it was on to the dreaded Piloswine. To my sheer joy, the Piloswine went down in one hit to a crit. Yes, finally! This was my out! I'd have enough power to finish off the Dugong. And finish it off, I did. It was such relief hitting that fight button for the final time and taking that stupid thing out. Hours of grinding and struggling had finally come to an end. With that, my section is done. However, winning this challenge is not enough. I had to go through hell and back to get this done, and I'm going to make someone pay. Coach Max was pretty merciful to me on the previous challenge, however, he's the one who's going to have to take the fall for HPT's sin. Wish I could say I was sorry, but I'm not. Have fun!
Hey, that's me, Coach Max. You're probably wondering what's led me to lying on the floor next to all of the toys that my dogs own. I'm in the same boat as you, pal. How did my life lead to this situation? It all started when I got the save file from Pink.
Heya,
she said.
Get ready for this one, with the following rules for my section.
I loaded up the ROM and checked out the party.
And what the crap? All unknown. Awesome. No, really, that's great. I am so excited. I had to pick one of these unknown and see which one will lead me to glory. Also, I now realize that the unknown spell the word suffer. But I guess I was really hungry at the time because I genuinely thought that all of them spelled supper. On a completely unrelated note, this is the first time I've ever run a game on a DS emulator, and my computer is just not up to snuff for it. I managed to make it work, but man, it made my computer chug. So I'm not just doing Gen 1 through 3 runs because I'm blinded by nostalgia. But that's definitely a big part of it. With all of the unknown knowing only hidden power, I set out to find the type of the attack for each one. So I found out that the first unknown had fire type. And so did the rest of them. And Claire has 3 Dragonair and a Kingdra. Only 4 Pokemon that all resist fire type attacks. This is gonna be a long one. And boy, was it. Unknown's stats are garbage. I don't mean garbage, I mean garbage. Like all you Trubbish haters, this is real garbage. Let's stop the memes about Trubbish being garbage, because this little letter is awful. By the way, I picked the S with the name Read, because in this collaboration we have to have a moral. Make sure you read, kids. It doesn't even have to be books. Read whatever you want. This PSA brought to you by the relatable cool guy. The only Pokemon I could take down were Metapods and Caterpies. That wasn't great, and I really needed special attack EVs, which they don't give. Psyduck in the Ilex Forest gave me the right EVs, but I couldn't take them down until at least level 10, and that was just if I got incredibly lucky with the moves Psyduck used. And Sunkern gives me the right EVs too, but it appears very seldomly in the national park, and they were even a little tough to take down. After about 10 years, not literal years, but it felt like it, I started grinding against Magnemite on route whatever it is across from Ecruteak, but those hardly ever showed up too. So I started grinding on literally anything till about level 40. But I didn't just have to deal with Claire, oh no. I had to go through the radio tower, which meant dealing with all of the Rocket admins, who normally wouldn't be all that bad, all things considered. But with the things we do have to consider, it was bad. The first problem I encountered was having to get the Rocket outfit, and if I lost the battle to the guy keeping watch over the stairs, I had to go back and get the Rocket outfit, which did happen. So that's not really a bad thing, that was just kind of interesting. You can get the outfit, start the battle, have your rival come in and expose you, and if you lose, you have to get the outfit again. The whole situation happens over. It's kind of interesting, actually. The first Rocket that gave me huge trouble was Petrol. And in Gen 2 runs, it's a tough battle because of the potential for explosions happening literally every second. And that's exactly what happened here in Gen 4. I had to grind hardcore to get past this guy. He kept poisoning me, and when he didn't poison me, he used Smokescreen. And sometimes both of those happened. And sometimes he would explode. Every single time. It was like a fireworks show in this building. On the 5th floor, just exploding all these balls of gas, and my poor little letter of the alphabet had to pay the price. I had to hit level 56 to beat this stupid guy. I had essentially leveled up to where I could knock out the Coughings in one hit, and even then I didn't always knock them out. But getting lucky and beating Wheezing in 2 hits made my life beyond easy after that. For like 5 minutes. Then the next Rocket came up. Except he's not really a Rocket. I forgot about the rival battle in the underground. I really thought Claire was the only problem in my part of the collab. The rival's Golbat was pain because of Confuse Ray and its 100% accuracy. And then it has Bite, which is super effective and causes flinching. When I was able to take down Golbat, Haunter would come in and obliterate me with Shadow Ball. But you know what? At least it didn't use Curse. My channel is family friendly at least, so I appreciate the refrain from cursing. After realizing I couldn't take down the team until level 64, I went back into the battle. Golbat and Haunter finally went down without doing anything, and Sneasel got a hit on me, but since I had Fire-type hidden power, it and Magnemite that followed soon after were one-shots. And then the rival had Meganium. That was seriously the best thing that could have happened. It tried to kill me with Petal Dance, but I fought through and shut it down. And now the hard part is over. Except nah bro, it isn't. I beat Executive Proton in one try, but he had a terrible team, barely even worth mentioning. You could say that choosing to skip over him, this Rocket Executive, I've made an executive decision. Ariana was much more troublesome. Arbok's Glare consistently paralyzed me, and Hidden Power wasn't strong enough to one-shot. Then it had Crunch to hit hard. Murkrow just had Stab Pursuit, so it wasn't super strong, but the damage added up. And it had Nightshade, so when I was paralyzed, I lost a lot of health. And Vileplume, I thought with Fire I'd be in the clear, but no. The paralyzation got me so many times. Barely hanging on and fighting through the paralysis with a critical Hidden Power got me the win at a measly level 66. And Archer's team. This one was troublesome. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to attack Houndoom because it might have Flash Fire as an ability. Thankfully, it didn't. But man, I was worried. And I have incredibly choppy footage during such an intense battle, but all you really need to know is that I was at level 90 when I beat Archer. And you would think that it's all downhill from here. My friends, we still have to battle Claire. For once, something was easy, but it was just making my way through the ice path. Then I battled Claire, at level 100. And she has a Gyarados, not just Dragonair and Kingdra, and no matter how much I tried, wins just couldn't happen. I couldn't make the impossible come true. Gyarados would wreck me, and when it didn't, Dragonair would paralyze me. And when I would get so lucky to bypass Dragonair, Kingdra just straight up annihilated me. I couldn't do it. I gave up. I had things to do. I held the save file of the game for about a month and I had to finally pass it on. There was absolutely no way I could beat Claire with just that one stinking unknown. So you know what? I used Arceus. That's right, I say it like Arceus. Also, I brought in God to take care of this infidel. Is this cheating? 100% yes. And you can direct all hate mail to Christian Pokemon Champion, just cuz. Pink is the one that put me in this position, but sending hate mail to CPC just feels right, you know? I was so frustrated with the requirements of this run, and truth be told, I'm honestly shocked that Unknown was able to do as much as it did. And isn't that the point of these runs? To see a Pokemon in a totally unusual situation and see how it does? Well, Unknown does garbage. Doo-doo. It's bad. Please stop. I don't want Unknown anymore. And so here we are, surrounded by the dog toys, because of Unknown. I'll see it in my dreams at night. Every night. Watching me. Plonk. Please take the save file and relieve me of this torture.
Thanks a lot, Coach Max. Okay, these are the rules that Coach Max has given me. He says the normal rules is in no evolving, no items in battle, etc. But here's where things get interesting. I'm allowed to use any Pokemon I want. But the catch here is I'm only allowed to use one type of move throughout the whole team. This means that no matter what Pokemon I use, they're not allowed to know any other moves apart from that one type. Those are pretty much all the rules, so all I have to do now is figure out which type I'm going to use. I spent a long time coming up with different strategies for different types, and the type I eventually settled on was Normal type. Yeah, it's a bit boring, but it's a pretty good type overall. It may not be super effective against anything, but only 2 types resist Normal, and only 1 type is immune to it. So you may think that Ghost types are going to be a problem, but don't worry, I've thought about this. Here's the team that I settled on. I went for a Miltank, and this is because it has the ability Scrappy, which means it can hit Ghost types. This is essential if I want to get past Karen. I have a Wigglytuff, which is basically just here to use Disable and Hyper Voice, as I did want a special attacking move. We got an Ambipom, which only has Last Resort, although I did realise I had to give it a second move for it to work. And we've got another counter to Ghost types here in Arcanine, which has the move Odor Sleuth, which works the same way as Scrappy. I have a Fortress, which has the move Explosion, which is basically its only role, and I have a Pinsir, which knows Sword Stance. So I think I'm pretty much set for this part of the game. My first objective is to beat the Kimono Girls, which were relatively easy, and then I took down Ho-Oh, which wasn't really that much of a problem either. Now we can finally make our way to the Elite Four, but of course we get challenged by our rival, YouTube. He starts off with a Sneasel, so I lead with Wigglytuff, and because of Sneasel's lack of bulk, it really doesn't take that long to take it out. 2 Hyper Voices is all we need. Next up is Golbat, and we tank an Air Cutter with 20 health remaining, and do some okay damage before going down to 1 more. I swap into Ambipom and just finish it off with a Frustration, and now Meganium comes out, but we have the super powerful Last Resort now. Despite its massive power, it only does about half, and we do get poisoned by a poison powder. That's fine though, as we still outspeed and KO the next turn, and next up is Magneton. Now, steel types are a little bit of a problem because it resists normal, but as you can see, we're doing some decent damage. We're just about able to brute force our way through it, and Ambipom is still on half its health. Next up is Kadabra, but that thing's defenses are paper thin, so it goes down in one hit, and now we're just down to his final Pokemon, Haunter. Now obviously Ambipom can't really do anything, so I just stay in as he just goes for a curse, which actually helps me. And now I can just swap into my Miltank and go for the Body Slam. And because of our ability, it hits and it's enough to finish it off. And with that, I've beaten YouTube. Alright, Elite Four time. First up is Will, who wasn't really that much of a problem. First up is Xatu, so I lead with Ambipom and go for the Frustration, as he does confuse us with a Confuse Ray, but we still hit through Confusion and take it out the next turn. Next up is Jinx, but her physical defense is really bad, so one Last Resort is all we need. Executor's up next and we hit another Last Resort, which does well over half as he misses a Hypnosis. This means we can finish it off with a Frustration the next turn, and next up is Slowbro, we're basically sweeping through his team here. Last Resort does over half and he just wastes a turn going for Amnesia, so we can finish it off with one more and we're down to his final Pokemon already, a second Xatu. I go for Frustration to save PP on Last Resort, but after the Citrus Berry it does less than half. We do get confused once again, and this time unfortunately we do hit ourselves in Confusion and then get hit by a Psychic. Not only that, we hit ourselves in Confusion a second time, and we finally go down to one more Psychic. Almost a clean sweep. This doesn't really worry me though, as I just swap into Fortress and explode. Quite a convincing way to end the match, I think. The Xatu goes down and that's already one of the Elite Four taken care of. Next up is Poison User Koga. He starts off with an Arrow Dose, so I lead with Pinsir and go straight for a Swords Dance. He just wastes a turn going for Spiderweb so I can hit a Strength the next turn, but much to my surprise it's not enough to KO from full health. He does hit a Poison Jab, but it doesn't do that much, and after him using a full Restore, 2 Strengths are enough to take it out. Crobat's up next and starts setting up Double Team, which isn't ideal, and once again after the Citrus Berry, our Strength really isn't doing that much. We do get hit by a Wing Attack, but we just survive with 11 health remaining, but unfortunately we miss the Strength and then we get taken out by a Quick Attack the next turn. I send in Arcanine and start setting up a couple of Howls, and then I take it out with a Critical Hit Extreme Speed. Next up is Fortress though, and this is one of the Pokemon I was least looking forward to fighting. As you can see, even with our boosted attack, Strength really doesn't do anything, but his moves really aren't doing that much damage to us either. Eventually I'm able to whittle it down, and we still got decent health left as well, and next up is Muck. I go straight for the Strength, which does over half, but there's no way we're taking a Gunk Shot. I swap into Ambipom and go for the Frustration, which is enough to take it out, and now it's just down to his final Pokemon, Venomoth. I go straight for the Last Resort and it's enough for a one-hit KO, which means that's Koga dealt with. Considering he had fighting types, Bruno wasn't actually that much of a problem. First up is Hitmontop, so I lead with Pinsir and go straight for the Swords Dance, as he hits a weak Quick Attack. I go for Strength this turn for well over half this turn as he goes for Dig, so I take the opportunity to set up another Swords Dance as he's underground. His Dig hardly does anything and one more Strength is enough to finish it off, and next up is Onix, another Pokemon I was kinda worried about facing. Even with +3 attack, Strength hardly does any damage, and his Rock Slide in return does quite a lot. I am able to hit one more before we go down to one more Rock Slide, so I just swap into Wigglytuff who gets hit by an Earthquake, but we take it no problem, and finish it off with a Hyper Voice. Next up is Hitmonlee though, and we're not able to outspeed it and we get taken out by one high jump kick, so I just swap into Arcanine and go for the Extreme Speed, which is enough for a one-shot. Next up is Machamp, so I stand and go for another Extreme Speed, which does decent damage, but unfortunately we can't take a Cross Chop. I swap it to Ambipom and go for the Frustration, which isn't quite enough to take it out, as he hits a super effective Revenge, which we just can't survive. I swap into Miltank and go for the Strength, which thankfully is enough to take it out just about. His final Pokemon is Hitmonchan, so I decide it's probably best to swap into Fortress, which goes well as we easily take a Thunder Punch. You know what's coming. I go straight for the Explosion as we get hit by a Fire Punch, but we just survive, and obviously Explosion is enough for a one-shot. Hitmonchan goes down and we've beaten Bruno. The final member of the Elite Four is Karen. She starts off with Umbreon, so I lead with Pinsir, and after one Swords Dance, just 2 Strengths are all we need to get the KO. Murkrow is up next, but we're faster and Strength is an easy one-shot, and next up is our strongest Pokemon, Houndoom. I was hoping I would outspeed, but unfortunately we don't and we get taken out by one single Flamethrower, so I just swap into Ambipom and go straight for the Frustration. Once again it does over half, but the Citrus Berry heals her up a little bit, as we get hit by a Flamethrower and unfortunately we get burned as well. Because of this, I just go for one more frustration to get some damage in, and we get taken out the next turn, so I just swap into Miltank and go for a strength, which is enough to take it out after we get hit by one more flamethrower. Next up is Gengar though, so I kinda need Miltank alive. Unfortunately, we get hit by a Focus Blast, which we can't take, so my only hope of winning this fight now is Arcanine. It's the only Pokemon left on my team that can hit Ghost types. I go for the Odor Sleuth as we get hit by a Focus Blast, and then an Extreme Speed, but it really doesn't do as much as I was expecting. She then starts going for Spite, which is actually really bad, as I really don't have that many power points left. We get her down to low health, but then she uses a full restore, and she lowers our power points even more to the point where I've only got 1 strength left. If this doesn't KO, this is the run over. I go for it, and thankfully it's just enough to take it out. That was a bit close for comfort. We're not done yet though, there is one more Pokemon left. Vileplume comes out and quite easily finishes off Arcanine, so I just go for the tried and tested formula. I swap into Fortress, get hit by a weak Petal Dance, and just explode. It's an easy one shot, and that's the Elite Four taken care of. All that's left now is the champion. But let me tell you, Lance was so difficult to beat. Funnily enough, the Pokemon that caused me the most problems was Aerodactyl. It's faster than my entire team, and it resists all of my moves as well. I literally have over an hour and a half of attempts of this fight, so I decided it was probably best that I went and grinded instead. I come back with a much stronger team, and this time things go much better. First up is Gyarados, so I lead with Wigglytuff. He goes for the Waterfall, which does a lot of damage, but thankfully our ability Cute Charm takes effect. Not only that, I go for Disable, which means he can't use Waterfall anymore, which is definitely his strongest move. I now just keep spamming weak Hyper Voices. Thanks to our ability, he doesn't really attack that much, and even with him using a full restore, we're able to finish off the Gyarados with a couple more hits thanks to a critical hit. Next up is a level 50 Dragonite, so I just go for the Hyper Voice in the hopes he'll miss an attack or something, but he doesn't, so I just swap into Ambipom. I've replaced Frustration with Strength as our happiness has gone up a little bit now, so Strength is more powerful. And it does okay damage, as we get hit by an Outrage, but we survive with just 9 health remaining. Now I go for the Last Resort, which is thankfully enough to take it out, so that's his most powerful Pokemon out of the way. He does still have 2 more Dragonites though. Much to my surprise, the first one actually goes down in 1 hit, thanks to a critical hit. That was insanely lucky. Now his final Dragonite comes out and I go for another Last Resort, which does over half, as he goes for Blizzard and it misses. 1 more Last Resort takes it out, and next up is Charizard. I go for another Last Resort, which almost takes it out but not quite, and he takes us out with the Dragon Claw. I swap in Miltank and try and take it out with a Body Slam, but he goes for a full restore, but we go for 1 more anyway, which brings it down to red health. He does go for another full restore, but that's not really a problem as we eventually get a paralysis. So I basically just stall it out until he's fully paralyzed so we have full health with Milk Drink. And now I can finally finish it off with 1 more hit. We're now down to his final Pokemon, Aerodactyl. The team is in good shape, so I'm kinda confident all I gotta do is take out this 1 Pokemon. This is where things go kinda wrong though. He goes for Rock Slide and we flinch, and then we get hit by a second one, but thankfully this one doesn't make us flinch. We don't get the paralysis with Body Slam though, and I was sure we were going to go down to 1 more Rock Slide, but we survive on a sliver of health. This means I can hit 1 more Body Slam before we go down, so I go into Fortress and you know what's coming. Or not. All I wanted to do was blow up on this Aerodactyl, but he was having none of it. Every single time he hit a Rock Slide, we just kept flinching. In the end, we got taken out before we could do anything.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen.
I swap in Pinsir in the hopes of just brute forcing it, but we get taken down to red health by a Rock Slide, and our Thrash isn't enough to take it out. Not only that, he goes for another full restore. I'm pretty sure he actually had 4 of those this fight. We're now down to my final Pokemon, Arcanine. All of a sudden, this isn't looking too good. I decide it's best for me to set up some Howls. Thankfully, I think he's run out of Rock Slide PP, as he's going for other moves instead. He does end up going for Thunderfang though and getting a paralysis, which is really not good, and I go for the extreme speed, but we get fully paralyzed. We are able to survive the incoming Aerial Ace though, so I go for 1 more extreme speed, but it's hardly doing anything. We're really in bad shape. We take another Thunderfang, leaving us on red health, and at the most crucial time, we get a critical hit. It's just enough to take it out, and we've finally done it. I can't believe how lucky we got there. Well, Coach Max, your challenge wasn't too difficult, but it was really fun to play through, so thanks for that. Now all that's left to do is hand things over to Zwigo, but you probably want to skip over him anyway, he's not really that interesting. Thanks again to everyone for having me, it's been a blast. Now I'll just hand things over to Zwigo.
Welcome everyone to my part of the video. Plunker gave me these rules to work with, so I can only use the 2 Pokemon in my party, and the Arceus is only for 8 Shims apparently, so that's Delibird and Swampert. Let's see what kind of moves they have. Present on Delibird, I mean I didn't expect anything else, and Memento on myself. And what are these names? Just cringe, Plonk, cringe. I can't learn my Pokemon any new moves, so that's too bad. I'm gonna have to work with Memento on Swampert then. Obviously no items in battle, I figured that. And I can only use Struggle if there is no other way around it, so I'm gonna have to use Present a lot with Delibird, I guess. I also have to take on 4 random Kanto gyms in my part, so that's what you can expect from me. Well, honestly, I expected worse. The level 100 Delibird is not too bad to work with. Let's jump right into this part. Well, it's time to take the boat to hell. So I stepped on this boat and this grandfather lost his grandchild. What are the parents gonna say about that, Grandpa? Speaking about bad parenting, I'm pretty sure Tion holds his kids hostage in the basement, but don't tell him that I said that. After finding his child, we finally board in Vermilion City, where we learn a bit about water purification from this man right here. And after that, it is time for us to do our first gym battle with Lieutenant Surge, which is probably going to be our hardest one since Delibird is going to be weak against Electric. And I was right, since this man has a Magneton, which is pretty damn bad for me because it has 2 moves that are super effective against me, since Delibird is also weak to Steel. Ice is just the best typing ever. I do not understand why Plonk wants this thing as his mascot, but hey, I guess dumb people do dumb stuff. Just kidding, go subscribe to Plonk. Besides getting my ass handed to me by Magneton, he also has an Electrode with Double Team, which can get very annoying since Present doesn't even have 100% accuracy. And I do get paralyzed a bunch of times as well. But in the end, it wasn't that hard to win this gym battle at all, since I do have a level 100 Pokemon. I wish I had a lot to say about this fight, but I just used Present to kill his first 2 Pokemon right to an Electrode. When Magneton came out, I switched into Swampert, went for the Memento to lower its attack and special attack, and then switched back into Delibird in order to Present that thing to death as well. And then finally his last 2 Pokemon were Electrode and Electabuzz, which also went down by me giving them presents. And since I have to collect 4 gym badges here, I'm gonna do Sabrina as well. And if you thought that the last fight was a bit boring, well, this one is even worse since I can just Present Espeon twice to take it out, Present Mr. Mime twice as well, and Alakazam once. Come on, Plonk, at least try to give me something to entertain the people with. Well, 2 down, 2 more to go. Time to go to Erica, and this one should not be hard at all since it's Grass type and I'm flying an Ice type. And did I just get destroyed by a Tangela? Time to reset, and I forgot to save. Great. Time to do Sabrina again. After making my way back to Erica, I got my ass handed to me by this bunch of spaghetti a few more times, but I can't say that I was here longer than 5 minutes. Since we can Present her first Pokemon Jumpluff before the U-turns away into Victory Bell, I then shred the Victory Bell with a critical Present. Jumpluff comes back out and it U-turns immediately into Tangela, which we also get a critical Present on in order to take it out in one shot. Next up is Blossom, who can take 2 presents, and finally is Jumpluff, which we can take out with 1 more present. After my part is done, let me know in the comments down below how many times I have said present in 5 minutes. With that, we can now head on to the final gym leader of my part of the video, and that is Janine. But this battle was a joke once more. We can 2-shot our first Pokemon Crobat with present. What a surprise. Weezing can take 2 as well because she decided to heal up. Venomoth gets downed in a single present. Ariados takes 2 presents. And that's already it for my part. Well, the person after me is Tion, so let's see how we can absolutely screw him up.
Hey guys, what's going on? Tion here, back again with my part of the 12-pack video. And last time I gave Zwigo a whole bunch of really bad stuff, so let's see if he gets revenge on me and gives me something equally as bad. The Arceus in our party is just an HM slave. We're not going to be able to use him, but it looks like he left us some pretty crappy stuff. It looks like Zwigo's letting out his inner furry and gave me a ferret named Furry. I'm not going to judge you, Zwigo. I like you for the way you are. And it looks like a Goldeen named Tion and a Zubat named Izza, if you will. Meatball. All these Pokemon are pretty weak, and it looks like the best moveset we have is actually on this Furret, so it looks like we're going to be able to do something with that, but the Goldeen and Zubat isn't going to be so good. Our goal is to get 3 gyms down and then hand the save over to Chaotic Meatball, so let's go ahead and see if this is even possible, and knowing my luck, it's probably not. So it looks like we're going to be taking on Misty, Brock, and Blaine, so that's not going to be too difficult, I wouldn't think. Also, I haven't played Generation 2 in probably around 7 years, so this is not going to be fun. I figured out the hard way that Misty's not actually here and that you actually have to do a lot of quest stuff before she even appears. There's a lot of annoying stuff I had to do, but eventually I got to this grunt on the Nugget Bridge and I had to beat him, but once I did, he gives me the location of a piece I need to take back to the power plant, and oh my gosh, dude, what am I doing? But with the power of Google searches, I eventually figure out where Misty is. I honestly don't know how this is gonna go, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not gonna win first attempt, so obviously I'm gonna make a save right in front of Misty, and let's see what happens. I was able to KO a few of her Pokemon, but this Lapras caused me a huge issue, and I just realized I couldn't win at this rate, so we're gonna have to reset. And it doesn't help that I can't use items in battle, and the opponent can, so of course that's super annoying, so I'll go ahead and reset. Wait. No. Dude, no. So it looks like the save file got corrupted, so I had to do everything I just done over again. With the power of editing, this is no problem for you guys, but I'm gonna go cry. I'll be right back. And of course, eventually, I do make it back to Misty, and it's been a few attempts now, but I think I have a strategy down. Basically, my Zubat and my Goldeen is useless, and the only good Pokemon I have is a Furret. So my plan is to weaken up her Pokemon as much as I can with the Zubat and the Goldeen, and then come in with the Furret at the very end to actually end up doing a lot of damage. The Skolduck isn't really much of an issue, but I obviously don't have very many good attacking moves against it, plus this thing has Psychic, so I had to switch out for my Zubat, and I got Misty to waste a full restore, which is nice. But after using Struggle a couple times, Goldeen eventually does go down, and I decided to switch out into Furret because I know he's our strongest boy, and I'm pretty sure he can KO Golduck from this range. Unfortunately, Golduck is left with only a sliver of HP, as I decided to go for Fury Swipes even though it is disabled because I just refuse to believe it, but then eventually he goes down. Next out is a Lapras at level 52. Now this thing's an absolute beast. It's probably her ace, but I do have rest on this Furret, which is amazing. I can't heal up using items, but I can heal up using rest, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I literally end up PP stalling using rest, which is just absolutely hilarious because now that I'm able to wake up, I am able to use Fury Swipes and take out the Lapras. Next out is a Starmie, and of course I end up going for rest once again as I'm getting hit with Ice Beam, which can be scary obviously if I'm awake and can get frozen, but since I'm asleep, I'm not too worried. If you take a look at Furret's moveset, I have a move called Me First, which is actually super helpful, especially later on in the video. Basically, I just steal Starmie's move, and in this case, it's going to be an Ice Beam, and I actually end up freezing Starmie, which is absolutely hilarious, and I'm able to take it down. Next out is Quagsire at level 49, and I end up going for Me First, and I actually get to use Earthquake, which is just amazing, honestly, and I end up taking it out in only 2 hits. Thank you, Zwigo, for the Furret. This is an absolute blessing, and I do appreciate it. But with Misty down, next up is Brock, the Rock-type gym leader, and of course, this is going to be kind of difficult because we don't really have any good moves besides Me First, which is all up to chance, really. And luckily, there's no story stuff I have to do, so I'm able just to walk into this gym and face Brock right away. And I am not going to lie to you, this battle was absolutely awful. Brock leads off with a Graveler at level 51, and the chances of me actually using a good move with Me First is about 1 in 3. Luckily though, Graveler does go for an Earthquake, which lets me use an Earthquake, and next up is a Rhyhorn, who is just really annoying more than anything else. Rhyhorn just loves to use Scary Face over and over and over, and I don't think it has anything really that could hit Zubat, so I just end up going for Leech Life and Confuse Ray over and over just to do some damage. But with only having Leech Life and Confuse Ray, this thing's obviously not good whatsoever, but at least he could do something in this battle. Brock even healed this thing all the way back up, and it took me forever, but eventually I do get him down. Next up is Omastar, who almost one-hit KOs Zubat, so I'll switch back out in the Furry. So my goal here was to get Omastar to go for Brine, which will in turn let me use Brine, and eventually that's exactly what happens at about probably 80 attempts. Next up is Onix, and I don't really have a good counter to this thing because none of its own moves is actually good against it, so the best move we could really go for here is Rock Slide and get the flinch. Also, Onyx loves to set up Sandstorm, which is also super annoying, but once again, we do have Rest, which is definitely a lifesaver. Over the course of a ton of attempts, I figured out if you PP stall Onyx's moves, he's forced to use Iron Tail, which actually is super good to use against him. And I'll be completely honest, I forgot that this thing had Iron Tail. As soon as I'm actually able to use it and hit Onyx with it, it's gonna do a ton of damage, but first I actually have to be awake. It takes a little bit, but eventually I do get Onyx to use Iron Tail, which in turn lets me use Iron Tail, and I'm able to one-shot him basically. Last but not least is Kabutops, and I end up going for a Rock Slide here, and I actually end up getting the flinch, which is actually necessary to win this battle. If I didn't get the flinch, he would knock me into the red, and then he would just use Aqua Jet, and obviously I cannot outspeed an Aqua Jet, so this battle was absolutely awful, and I'm glad I was able to edit it down for you guys. But we are not done yet. No, we have one more battle, which may or may not be at least 3 times worse. I spent over 2 hours on this one battle. I literally had to quit one day and come back to it the next day because it was just driving me insane. 2 hours really doesn't sound too bad, but when you're doing one battle over and over and over, it gets pretty infuriating. And of course, like all challenge videos, I eventually torture myself enough to finally figure out a way to beat Blaine. First out is Macario at level 54. Now this thing loves to set up Sun and then hit me with an overheat, which is obviously super annoying. There's only one moveset Furret could possibly have to beat Blaine, and luckily Zwigo did give me that moveset. Obviously every single time Macario went for an overheat, it dropped its special attack by 2, so I had to do a little bit of stalling with Rest. Obviously Fury Swipes doesn't do too much damage to Macario at all, and using me first and using overheat doesn't do too much damage to Macario either. So eventually Macario gets healed up and he gets tired of using overheat and he goes for a Rock Slide, which lets me use a Rock Slide, and I was able to one-shot it. Next out is Magmar, and I do a ton of damage to it, but then it returns with an overheat doing a ton of damage itself, so I decided to switch out into Goldeen. I end up getting hit with a Confuse Ray and then a Thunder Punch, but luckily I'm able to break through the confusion and hit it with a Fury attack and take it down. And last out is a Rapidash at level 59, who is an absolute monster. I know that Goldeen's not strong enough right now, especially with a burn to take down Rapidash, so I'm just seeing how much damage I could get off before I actually have to end up switching. I know this thing has a White Herb and overheat, so I decided to do a double switch to get rid of the White Herb, and that's exactly what ends up happening. And once again, I decided to go for a double switch here to get Rapidash's special attack down by another 2 stages. I know that Rapidash is probably going to take me down, but luckily it ends up missing its bounce, so I'm able to get a Confuse Ray off. And of course, I end up switching out into Furry, and I'm still asleep, but luckily Rapidash ends up hitting itself in confusions a couple of times, and then I actually end up waking up, which is amazing because then it takes itself down with Flare Blitz. This battle was absolutely awful, and I cannot believe Zwigo gave me this team. Trust me, it was a lot harder than I thought, and I probably spent a total of 1 week doing just these 3 battles. Well, now I have to give a team to Chaotic Meatball, and I'm going to give him probably just the best Pokemon I could ever think of, but level 1. So let's see how this works.
How's it going, everybody? Chaotic Meatball here, and thank you so much for Zwigo for having me again. And it's time for the end of this challenge. And you know, I imagine that Tion's gonna make it pretty difficult for me to beat Red, though he didn't really leave me any rules in our DMs. So let's just take a look at the file and find out. Well. Why not? And a ditto. Very nice reference to our last video. But there's also 4 Arceus. 3 of them being named like, comment, and subscribe. And I can definitely say that yes, you should do that. But you should also do that for everyone else's channels on this video. Zwigo has over 100,000 subscribers, and that's amazing for someone who's been on this platform for barely over a year. And I'm just gonna throw my heart out to you guys and say thanks for being along for his adventure. I'm at around 55k myself, Tion's at 23, Plonker's at 17, and R9's at 11, but everybody else is much smaller. And if even 10% of you guys watching subscribe to everyone as a part of this video, we'd all be able to have much more of a platform and hopefully make YouTube a more full-time sort of thing. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let's finish this challenge with a bang. So the items that we have available here in the bag are literally everything at a quantity of 900. I can't say this will be hard since 3 out of the 4 Arceus here are at level 1 and have Endeavor and Quick Attack. So say hello to these Focus Sashes, boys, since it's about to get wild. So the first thing I get to do here is take on the final gym, and since I forgot the puzzle, I had to fight a trainer, which was fine since I was able to use the HMs that the level 100 Arceus had to my advantage, getting to blue relatively unscathed. Man, you look just like the nerd that I always fight in my 3d6 challenge series. Must be an alternate universe. Either way, Cut is a near one-shot on his lead Executor as he uses Trick Room to set up, then heals as I use a second Cut.
He tries to put me to sleep with hypnosis, but to no avail, going down to a second cut. I don't think I've ever taken anything down with cut before, but hey, I'll take it. Second is Machamp, so I went for Fly, taking 2 Stone Edges before hitting a critical and KOing in one shot. Fun fact, Stone Edge can hit Pokemon while they're flying. Neat. Third is Arcanine, no problem at all, say hello to Surf in your demise. Fourth is Rhydon, also say hello to Surf in your demise, leading to Gyarados as my 5th competitor. I could just do the rest of this with Fear Strats, that stands for Focus Sash, Endeavor, Attack, Rattata, but in this case it's repeat since I got 3 Arceus, but no need, I'll take him down with 1 Pokemon. Intimidate does mess me up a little bit with Cut and Rock Climb, so I just went for Rock Climb to hopefully still KO, but I barely missed the one-shot as he goes for Dragon Dance and heals. So I went for Cut to see if I could just 2-shot, but I got a crit in 1-shot, so who cares. Leaving just Pidgeot, a near 1-shot with Rock Climb. Return does a decent amount of damage for a 40 level gap with a legendary, but Cut is just too much. Cut is too OP. Please nerf. With that, I'm able to go to Professor Oak and get the actual HM for Rock Climb despite already having it, and making Mount Silver and therefore Red accessible. Let's just cut the BS and get right into it then. I gave a Focus Sash to literally everything on my team and went into the final fight. Pikachu goes down in 1 turn thanks to Surf and Volt Tackle recoil, only doing a little under half as Blastoise comes out second. Blizzard does a lot, but Rock Climb does way more, healing locking him, and allowing Arceus to follow up with a Cut and Rock Climb for the KO, leading to the Snorlax. Hail damage isn't really much of a factor here, but Rock Climb confused Snorlax, making him hit himself as I KO'd with the second, getting to 69 HP after hail damage, nice, before taking on Lapras. It takes over half with Rock Climb, finishing off Arceus with hail damage unfortunately. However, I did know that Lapras was going to use special attacks, so I went Why Not to survive with the Focus Sash through Blizzard to nail a Mirror Coat, taking out Lapras and going down to hail damage itself. Alright, likes out and taking out Venusaur with Endeavor and hail damage, going down itself, and Subscribe does the same on Charizard, finishing the battle and the challenge. Gotta say, it's nice that I got to end this video, since that means I can hand it right back to Zwigo. If you liked what you heard on this video, make sure to check out our Alolan Sandshrew vs Kanto Sandshrew collab that we did a few months back, and check out my channel for Professor Oak Challenge content. Maybe you'll see the 12-pack do a relay race of one over there. You never know.
So that was Can You Beat Pokemon Heartgold with 12 YouTubers. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video because it was so much fun to make once again. These are by far my favorite videos on the channel. I know that they do take a long time to make, but that's because everyone has their own thing going on, it's not a priority, and we're just working on these projects on and off. But if you guys want to see this in another game, I will try to convince everyone to do it again, but I can't promise anything. So leave your suggestions in what game we should try next in the comments down below, and maybe try to give us some torture ways to give to the other players so that they will suffer even more. Because that's what you're all looking forward to, isn't it? I once again want to thank everyone that is involved into this video project. As always, their links will be in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to them as well. And subscribing is not enough. You have to actually watch their videos too, guys, because they need to be able to feed their families too. And as always, people, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwigo, and I'll see you guys next time.